Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video, I'm going to be covering my favorite books that I read in the first half of 2020, dealing with either the environment or nature in general or conservation, things like that. I already did a video focusing more on specific animals, and I'll put a link to that. And like I said, I've read so many like kind of nature, biology, life science books that I kind of split them up into kind of more like books on specific animals or types of animals, and then kind of more general nature conservation books, which is going to be the focus of this one. Before we get into it, do want to plug my history readathon that I'm co-hosting with several other really cool people in the second half of the month of August. I'll leave a link down below, so if you're into nonfiction and you're into reading history, definitely check that readathon out. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it, so you're just gonna have to deal with the plug for that forever until the video the readathon is over at the end of August. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with my three favorite conservation nature books, with one honorable mention. And let's start with that honorable mention right now. We got The Nature Fix by Florence Williams. Why nature makes us happier, healthier, and more creative. This is exactly kind of what I was wanting for a book, is essentially just validating my opinion, which is now pretty much a fact, that being out in the great outdoors or out in nature, being just kind of out and about in the living world, is good for everyone's health. And this is just a book kind of dealing with the actual science behind that, with like brain waves and how to how your neurons fire differently, and kind of like your receptors and stuff just acting differently based on different chemical responses, whether you're smelling like good flowers, things like that, hearing like she literally went through each of the five senses in different parts of the book to explain how your life gets improved, like whether your blood pressure is dropping and things like that, and why being out in nature is healthier for you. So like I said, I you knew that was the premise of the book, and I'm like, I have that opinion. I'm shallow. I want to hear the science behind validating my opinion. So what definitely was pretty cool. One of the ones I learned about was how humans, like when we use our eyes to see in nature, we see fractals like subconsciously. Fractals, like, I don't know, some sort of mathematical thing a little bit behind my head. I had to like look it up after like reading about it because I wasn't 100% sure what was going on. But different kind of patterns that occur in nature, our eyes apparently just like to look at for whatever reason, and it's like calming for our brain to do so. So pretty cool. The only critique I really have of the book is the author definitely inserts herself into like all the experiments, so it's kind of like biased a little bit. She admits that like freely, so it's not really that big a deal. And the only other thing is sort of the way the nature gets sort of prescribed. She even says it's kind of cringy in a way. Like they're trying to figure out, like a lot of scientists are trying to figure out, how many doses, quote unquote, doses of nature, you need to get like the full benefits of kind of just like feeling better and the stress relief and just all the positive health things that are associated with nature scientifically, whether that's like X number of hours per week, or 2 weekend trips every like 3 months or whatever it happened to be. I was a little cringing just like kind of reading that, because I'm like, that's not really the point. It's not supposed to, you're supposed to not take in nature and like make it into a pill form so you can just like take it like that. I guess, I don't know, to me it just like defeated the purpose. So but anyways, I'm gonna move on because all my videos are getting, like, they're so long lately, and it's because I ramble up. Like the honorable mention was probably right then by like 2 or 3 minutes, just like boom. So let's just go on to the next one. Let's see, what was the next one? Oh, next up for number 3 is Baron Heinrich. It's not this book in particular. This is Winter World, which I have not read yet, but the first book I listened to was Naturalists at Large, which is a collection of essays on natural history by Baron Heinrich. And I'm definitely going to like this author. He's got like 20 books out, but he's like a Maine author. He was born in Germany, but he's lived in Maine for like the past like 60 or 70 years. He's got a log cabin in the middle of the rural woods, which if you, some of my friends that have seen like that I've talked to, that have seen like my Google map like of where I live in the middle of nowhere in the woods too, in a different part of Maine, but we have pretty much the same ecosystem environment around us. So when he does all his they're homemade, but they're serious experiments and observations that he does like around his log cabin in the middle of the Maine woods. It's like the same sort of stuff I could literally just go out and do if I wanted to. So it's really cool just seeing like his kind of reading about like his notes and journals that he's like observed over time, with like different like times of the season, all the different events kind of going around his cabin and stuff. It's just really cool. He writes very well, and it's down to earth, not totally not flamboyant, but you just learn a ton, and it's so, it like I said, it's around his house. So when you're reading about it, he's literally talking about different bugs and stuff that like try to get into his cabin and things like at different times of the year, and the different birds that like live, and like the houses he makes for them and stuff. So it's just really cool learning all about that sort of thing, and just like, and especially since he's been doing it for decades and decades, he has notes and observations over the same amount of time. So when he talks about like chestnut trees that got devastated due to a specific blight specific to those trees, like he was growing like a new grove of them in Maine, which is pretty unique. So it's just really cool learning all about that. And I will be trying to probably read like all of Baron Heinrich's bibliography for sure. All right, number 2 is going to be a book I read on the Kindle for NetGalley, and it's what is it? Nature's Best Hope: A New Approach to Conservation That Starts in Your Backyard. And this is by Douglas Tellamy, and he has another similar book I think that he put out a couple years ago, kind of on a similar thing. And his whole approach here is, you know, we got so many people, especially in the United States, with big lawn, like y'all, we don't all have lawns, but lots of people have lawns, and what are on our lawns mostly is just grass, which is pretty much the most useless thing, like ecologically, like out there. You know, it doesn't support a lot of insect life. Obviously, if you have just a monoculture of just yard grass, you don't have a lot of flowers and plants and trees and stuff. And even people that do, the grass lawn is predominant. And his whole approach is, why not, if everyone in, like, for example, the suburbs all had different plants and trees and shrubs and flowers and different plots like in their yard, instead of just grass, a lot of animal life could be supported just like in our backyards, whether that's tons of insect life, which would bring on more birds, this and that, all kinds of things. It was really kind of enlightening. I don't have the same problem, because even though I have a yard with grass, I have like, let's see, I got like 7 or 8 apple trees. Let's see, we got the maple tree, we got the pine trees, we got the birch trees, and then I literally have like just the woods that I've obviously not done anything, like a couple acres of woods that I've not, you know, it's just like a forest basically. So even though I do have grass, like I said, mine's definitely not a monoculture per se, and we got like flower plots and everything. So I definitely wholeheartedly agree with the whole. Obviously, not everyone can do that per se, but his whole argument was, even if you have just a small, like say, 1/4 acre plot or whatever, you know, even just trying to get the most bang for your buck, like trees and shrubs. Kind of like, for example, his favorite is a couple different species of oak tree, just because a single oak tree can support. He lists like I can't remember exactly the numbers, but I mean it was literally over a couple hundred different kinds of birds can utilize oaks in different ways, and a couple hundred different insects. And he kind of goes over, obviously not in detail each single one, but kind of going over like, you know, what that oak tree can possibly support, even by itself, even if it's kind of alone. Kind of talks about, for example, like with flowers, flowers equivalent would be a goldenrod, and how many uses different animals and insects use for goldenrod. So it was kind of just interesting learning how, in his whole, like I said, his whole theory of, you know, if you had interconnecting yard plots, if you get together with your neighbors and stuff, if you hopefully have good communication with your neighbors, you know, you can kind of like put some stuff together, and I don't know, like just it could start like a change that, like I said, it's probably not gonna happen, but you never know. Like I said, I'm just super like eco-friendly and stuff, just kind of like in that mindset. So I don't know, I think it'd be really cool just to give it a try. I did grow up in Florida in the suburbs, and all we had grass and like 2 sago palms. So I guess that, and like I said, like for example, if that was my house now, I would plant a couple trees like in the backyard, like maybe like 3 of them that grow together. Like, and he even has good arguments for why planting multiple trees is good, even if it won't grow quite as big as a single one by itself. They're actually stronger. I think I said stronger. They're stronger because the roots can interconnect, so each one might not be quite as big, but you'd have more branches in crown coverage, and they'd be stronger and help the soil out a lot more. But anyways, like I said, the whole book is like he deals into the science and ecology really well. Like I said, he did have like a chapter on kind of how to implement a lot of this sort of stuff, and it's kind of like, yeah, probably still not gonna happen. Like you gotta have, I guess, more incentive. I suppose. But anyways, I hope other people read it and want to like. He does have some vignettes. For example, one that was really stuck out with me was, a father who just wanted like just kind of like the plain immaculate just grass yard, and the daughter after she moved out, whatever, she got really interested in monarch butterflies and did like monarch watches and stuff, tracking them, and she planted milkweed and everything. And she planted a little bit on her dad's property, and he had caterpillars and that turned into the monarch butterflies and stuff. And the monarchs would stop on their like migratory routes and stuff. And then after seeing just like how a couple little plants like that, just all of a sudden brought in monarch butterflies, he got really interested in like learning about it. And it's a true story. So it's like little things like how a couple little acts can change people's opinions and things like that. So anyways, really like the book. It's kind of what I'm getting at. So plant different stuff in your yard. Don't just do just the plain grass yard is the big takeaway from that one. All right. And then lastly, number one, far and away, for sure, one of my favorite nature books of all. Probably my favorite nature. I don't know. There's like two or three. Definitely, though, for 2020. My favorite nature book so far is Braiding Sweetgrass: Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I cannot say enough good things about this book. I can't do it justice. I kind of did like a little wrap up thing of it a little while ago and just completely flopped it. But it's like this tremendous blend of biography, memoir, philosophy, like Native American wisdom, science, and ecology, all just mixed together into this like amazing book. I don't know what else to like describe it as. The chapters are fairly independent of each other. There is a little bit of continuity with some of like the flashbacks and stuff, but like I said, it's so good. I don't know. There is going to be a special edition of this book actually coming out from Milkweeds Editions, like a little indie press, I think, and it's going to be in hardcover. Yeah, and I'm definitely getting it like in a couple months, and I'm going to reread the book and take notes in it and stuff, and do like a super thorough review at some point. I mean, like a thorough review for real, just because, like I said, I can't say enough good things about it, and I'm just doing absolutely terrible right now. But for example, like one of the I guess one of the stories that sticks out with me a lot, there's like several, but this one is as a professor, a Native American professor of ecology. She each year takes a cohort of her students out in kind of like the marshes, and they sort of live off the land and talk and think about how to be equitable with the land and things like that. And it's kind of interesting just seeing like the students kind of growth over like the course of the week and stuff, and kind of like how they form like kind of their like new ways of thinking and stuff, and just kind of like the little bits of encouragement and prodding that she gives them out. It's just so good. Like I said, I'm doing terrible. All I'm gonna say from now on right here is buy the book and read it. If anything I said about it sounds even remotely like it would be good, like I said, this is definitely my favorite book of 2020 so far. And I don't reread books very often. Very rarely do I reread books. I think like since I started BookTube, I think I've only reread like 2 or 3 books. Let alone reread a book in the same year. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. But I will be, like I said, getting like the special hardcover edition and probably taking notes throughout this one. Probably I'll read the hardcover one. Don't want to like mess that one up because I normally don't take notes either. And then go to this one and like put notes all through it and stuff. But I don't know. Like I said, just the greatest, tremendous blend of like philosophy and nature combined on why we should like respect nature and each other and the living world and everything. Just awesome, amazing, great stuff. Go get it, read it, and that's that. Thank you all for watching. If you have any good nature books that you'd like me to read or you think I'd be interested in, definitely leave some comments down below. I'm always on the lookout for recommendations, like I say, in practically every one of these kinds of videos, for sure. If you've read any of these authors, let me know and tell me what you've thought of them, for sure. Always glad to just talk about books generally anyways as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment and stuff if you enjoyed the video. Always appreciate the thumbs up and stuff. And don't forget to check out my Twitter and Instagram, especially if you like nature stuff. I've been posting a lot of nature stuff lately on Insta, but check out the website, the website and Twitter and Instagram, all that good stuff. And whatever you're reading, whether it's nature books or books on the environment or not, always remember, read victoriously.